Now, do you know, is there going to be like an area where they're all at? Are they kind of spread out throughout the stadium? Do you have, because I've heard in past, right, when Dan kind of brings them in, where, again, all this plays a factor, right? How they're treated when they come to the game. Do you have an insight on how that's going to play out differently from the past?
So I'm as far as like the exact step by step procedures, I'm not privy to any of that stuff. That's
Okay.
very in house. They've really not let anything out as far as what they do, except for what the kids are willing to tell us when we talk to them after visits and interview them.
Okay.
I spoke to one kid a couple weeks ago that said the second he pulled into the parking lot, there was 5 staff members standing outside his car waiting to greet him. Said he couldn't even breathe before he got out of the car.
Wow.
They were so attentive and they were there on the spot. So as far as energy and effort, I don't think you have to look any further than Katie Turner.
Okay.
She is just a unbelievable amount of energy and just really probably I'd say pound for pound the best hire Billy Napier made at the University of Florida. She's just phenomenal at what she does. She brings such great energy to the complex, to the program, and is an integral part of the recruiting process for Florida. Um, but as far as that goes, they get to campus, they go into the Heavner complex. They're greeted by multiple off-field staffers, a lot of recruiting assistants, student assistants, all those guys. They go through there, make their way down to the stadium. They sit in the end zone in the bleachers right there. I don't know if it's going to be a little different for the spring game
Okay.
because they could have the opportunity to sit in the stands because there's not going to be as many people there. I think if they wanted to, but it's very this new staff is much more attentive and much more involved through the entire process instead of just like, hey, this kid showed up and go sit down and watch the game in the bleachers.
So is that referring to the Dan Mullen era? Is that kind of more so how it was? It was more hands off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were coaches that did a wonderful job while Dan Mullen was there, but not to the level of what we're seeing thus far from Billy Napier and his staff. And Billy Napier himself is involved in a lot of these kids' recruitments.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think what we're seeing so far is just a different level of organizational coordination. It's not so much just one thing. It's one thing after the other, like the strategic move to put things on Thursday, to move the game to Thursday, but then to have the staff and to have the student assistants and all these different just kind of functions that with no coordination at all makes it come across as a sloppy experience. But if you can just get everybody on the same page and getting everybody on this on the like focused on the same goal, especially with somebody like you mentioned, like with the new hire, Katie, who's just doing a great job. I mean, I think that it's all about the optics. These kids aren't there for that long at a time, and just in if they can see in a short period something that coordinated and that well put together, it's got to make them feel like that could be the place that they want to spend the next 2, 3, 4 years.
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely, 100%. That's one of the things that a lot of the kids have explained to us that they are surprised by how in sync the entire staff is. You could go talk to an off-field guy, then go talk to your position coach, then go talk to the offensive coordinator, then the head coach, and the message is exactly the same.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
There's
huge.
no discrepancy. Everything is exactly as it's supposed to be, and you didn't get that with the last staff. There was a lot of one guy will tell you this, the other guy will say no, this guy will say yes, and it was much very disorganized, unfortunately. And like I said, I think that's why Billy Napier at this time for Florida was the perfect fit because he's
Yeah,
so structurally organized and does such a good job of prioritizing that.
It's a great,
yeah,
great
they're
description.
still kids. They need the structure. They want the structure, especially if they're traveling. They're coming in from different places. They're leaving their home. Having that systemic organization that everybody's on the same page has got to be a huge pull for not only just the kids that are being recruited, but the parents that are handing their kids off. So that's great to hear.
So we kind of made some comparisons to Friday Night Lights, right? The TV show slash the movie. The feeling that you get when you watch that, like you kind of you see why kids love football. You see why again with this TV show, right? I mean that's why the team is great. And I've been kind of describing it. It feels like the same thing is happening here with the open transparency, with the communication, with the structure. Am I off there with the family being involved? Right. I think that's with all the money that's being thrown around with the NL, you have to separate yourself at some point. Is that accurate in that statement, or am I off there?
No, no, I agree with you. Like you said, you have to be able to separate yourself. Everybody in the country is going to figure out NIL at some point. NIL was kind of made to kind of help level the playing field for all
Sure,
these universities. Obviously, you're going to have guys here and there that don't find ways around, find your work around, and it happens in everything. But you have to be able to differentiate yourself, and I think Florida's organizational skill, the sheer number of people that they have on campus, and then the way they're able to connect with, like you said, not just the athletes but the parents as well,
sure.
is huge. The one of the biggest things that I remember seeing from last recruiting cycle was on the official visits for all these kids. Obviously, the recruits go out with the players, spend the night with those guys, and have a good time. But the coaches are out with the parents during that
Wow.
time, and you could see Coach Raymond. I'm trying to think who else, Coach Jaluk, and a bunch of other guys that were at like a karaoke bar or something like that, dancing with like all the other parents, and Coach Raymond doing his hop that made the Twitter timeline and just go crazy. But you see that, and they've organized activities, they've organized meetings with player parents that have come back saying, listen, we've never experienced anything like this. This is unbelievable. I've never had a staff, or I've never had a collective group of people associated with an athletic team uh, care this much about the parents as well as the players.